the introduction of the concepts in assessment. And I am inviting you to prepare yourselves for this. Medyo maingay ang background ko. Okay, anyway, before we start, let me thank you and congratulate you for successfully submitting the assignment number 1, the preliminaries, your self-introduction, and your ideas about assessment. Okay, I'm happy that everyone was able to submit their assignment. And though there are some of you who experience problems in attaching their files, I hope by now you've learned how to do that. No? There were some of you who submitted without a content. May mga ganun. So, they thought once attaching, meron ng file, meron ng laman, pero when I received it, wala pala, no? So, parang practice natin yung nangyari last week. Okay, anyway, let's start. As we discuss about assessment and learning, let me show you a picture. So, I hope you see the picture well. They say that a picture paints 1,000 words. You heard that in one of the famous, it is a famous line in one of the songs, no, which is very popular. Ako ba yung napuputa ng connection? Di ba ako marinig ng iba?
Maayos naman
Maayos
po.
naman po.
Probably
Okay
one.
po.
Maayos
Okay.
naman
Okay
po.
naman po.
Sige, siguro medyo may problem sa connection kina Jersey, no? Okay, sige. Anyway, let me continue. So in this picture, let us perceive its meaning, particularly its connection in assessment. What does this picture say? Are there, okay, you will see here that there are different types of animals of different abilities and nature. However, the professor gives them a single method of assessment or examination. Sabi ni
Ma'am,
professor,
excuse po.
sino yan? Ano yan? Sinong nagpapa-excuse?
Ako po, si Marvin po, ma'am. Yung mic po ni Miss.
Okay. Okay, so here, what I was saying a while ago is that we have this picture showing that we have these different types of animals with different types of nature and abilities. You will see that there is this professor giving them a single method of examination. The professor mentioned that for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. So that exam is to climb the tree. Okay, so looking into the animals, you'll see that not everyone can do that. Tama ba? Okay, so what does this picture say? No? We can say that the examination might be invalid or unfair for some of these animals. And it shows one of the problems in assessment, that is the failure to provide the opportunity for students to be assessed based on what they are capable of doing. This metaphor simply relates how assessment might be problematic if we do not provide the appropriate assessment methods towards our students. Einstein also mentioned that, or recognized that everybody is a genius. And I actually agree with that, na everyone may kanya-kanya tayong alam. Diba? What I know might be, what you know might not be a knowledge of others, pero yun, lahat tayo maalam. However, if you judge someone, or in this case, a fish, by its ability to climb a tree, then the fish might think na it is stupid rather. Okay? So sa atin din, once we relate it, so if we are being asked to do something which are not, which is beyond our abilities, then we might be thinking na hindi natin kaya. Wala tayong alam, something like that. So sometimes we feel that once na napupunta tayo sa bagay na it's beyond our abilities. So, ayun. That's one picture related to assessment. And here's another one. This picture shows the differences of the current trends of who is to blame when a student fail. Okay. Before, tignan nyo yung picture sa left, we give the blame to students for failing. So yung mga parents natin tanong, anak, bakit ka bumagsak? Okay? Ayan, pagalit pa yung iba, di ba? Pero nowadays, look at the picture on the right, the parents is actually asking, or the parent is actually asking the teacher, bakit bumagsak yung anak niya? Okay? So, as a teacher, we might find it very unfair na tayo yung sinisisi for the failure of their children. However, we have to recognize as teachers that we have a part, no, in the performance of their children. Okay? But again, syempre, disclaimer natin, di naman lahat sa atin. Okay? There are so many factors kung bakit ang estudyante bumabagsak. But again, we have to recognize that isang factor si teacher. Okay? So, we have to realize that we have a big impact on how we would help students to improve their performance. So, isa yun sa mga responsibilities natin. Okay? Monitoring, feedbacking, kailangan yan para maibigay sa mga estudyante natin para ma-improve yung kanilang performance. Okay? Do you have any question on the first two pictures? So you can make gestures like you're okay, you're nodding, something like that, no? Okay. Para alam ko na meron akong kausap. Okay? Baka nandyan lang kayo pero iba yung iniisip, no? Physically present or virtually present, no? Pero mentally absent. Okay. Sige. Okay, as we move on, the first part of our discussion is to define terminologies, particularly test and testing, measurement, evaluation, and assessment. Okay, what are the meanings and situations that we have for these different types of terminologies in assessment? So whenever we talk about test, we are referring to the instrument that we use. Ito yung instrument, ito yung ginagamit natin for us to measure the quality, the ability, the skills, and knowledge of a certain person. While the process of doing this, or the process of administering this test, is what we call testing. So testing is the administration and use of tests and its result in order to make educational decisions. So what are these educational decisions that we do? No? Pag sinabing educational decisions, mga decisions related to our instruction or education in general based on the result of testing. The test might tell us we can promote or retain a student. So when we say promote, pwede na siyang mag-move to the next level, or retain, pwedeng magstay siya kung ano yung level niya. Okay? Next, we can proceed to the next objective. If we are teaching, we might decide na, okay, we're ready to go to the next chapter. We are ready to go to the next goal of the lesson. Or, if you see that your students are failing, you can reteach the lesson. Okay? So this is the second possible educational decisions. Then, in general, medyo mas malawak ito. It has something to do with the curriculum. we might find that the curriculum is irrelevant, so we can revise it. Or if the curriculum is still applicable to everybody, then we can continue an existing curriculum. So that is for the testing. No? What you just have to remember about testing is this is the administration of the test. Okay? And the result of this will be used basically for these decisions. Next is measurement. Measurement is when we quantify something. So it is the quantification of what students learn. So when we say quantify, it has something to do with numbers. It has something to do with quantity. Gaano, karami. Okay? So when we quantify, we give value, we give scores to represent students' performance. Okay, and yung mga measurement, galing yon sa mga test, resulta ng mga test. Pwedeng paper and pencil test, pwedeng questionnaires, rating scales, checklists, and other devices. Okay, while evaluation, it is the process of making judgment, assigning value, or deciding the worth of students' performance. I would like you to look at the highlighted words. Making judgment. So, pag sinabing nag-judge ka, meron kang naging basis kung bakit mo siya ginudge. May nakita ka about that something. So, in terms of students' performance, may mga evidences ka nang nakita na collect for you to make that judgment. Okay, then, when we talk about assigning value or deciding the worth, yung value dito, don't be misled or be confused with measurement. Pero yung value na pinag-uusapan natin dito has something to do with the quality of the student's performance. We are talking about the quality of a performance, work, product, or use of skills against a set of standards. Okay, evaluation are designed for and intended to document the level of achievement that has been attained. So, yun yung kailangan nating itandaan sa evaluation. Medyo, judgmental. No? Judgmental kasi bibigay na niya kung ano yung decision mo, ano yung naging ang tawag doon, ano yung nakita mong performance ng bata, okay, after collecting several evidences. So, usually, makikita natin to at the end of the semester. Once we receive our grades, those are our evaluation. Diba? Nasa dulo na. After a semester, whether we like it or not, the teacher should give us an evaluation. It is the judgment of our performance for the whole semester. And again, that judgment has something to do with a certain sets of standards. Okay, moving on, we have assessment. It is more focused on the measurement of performance, product, or skill in order to give feedback. Okay, it is a process of gathering, organizing data into interpretable form to have a basis for decision making. And I would like to emphasize in assessment that its focus is for us to provide feedback among our students, for them to know for them to know their strengths and weaknesses, and provide directives for them to improve their performance. Ang isa sa mga highlight ng assessment naman kapag ang usapan ay assessment, ang pinaka-goal niya ay matulungan ang isang estudyante para mag-improve. Okay? To help students improve their performance. Okay. Assessment, unlike evaluation, is non-judgmental and are designed to be helpful to produce improvement. So here, we have the similarities and differences of evaluation and assessment. For assessment, it is said to be ongoing. while evaluation provides closure. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Ang assessment, since you are monitoring, you are giving feedback, and your goal is to help students improve, continuous yung process. While evaluation, since you are already making judgment, yung pinaka-focus niya is to provide closure. So, parang bibigyan mo na siya ng sentensya, ika nga, after everything that you have gained or gathered from that person or student. So, you are providing a closure. So, again, one is ongoing while the other one is providing closure. Assessment is positive in a way that its main goal is to help students improve, no? Kaya siya sinasabing positive. While on the other hand, doon napaka-negative tingnan ng the term na judgmental. Sabi nga sa famous show ng Itbulaga, bawal ang judgmental. Pero sa atin, pag gumawa tayo ng evaluation, nagbigay na tayo ng final rating, no, we are actually making a judgment. But that judgment, paulit-ulit ko sinasabi, meron tayong basis. Okay? Yun nga lang, we need to do something pagdating sa evaluation na magbigay na tayo ng final impression. No? Assessment is individualized kasi ang focus nito is per student. Hindi siya estudyante against everyone. So, ang usapan sa assessment, estudyante at kung anong level na siya at kung ano na yung performance niya. While evaluation is applied against standard. Ang pinag-uusapan sa evaluation kung na-achieve ba or hindi ang standard, kumusta siya compared with others, ano na yung nagagawa niya at hindi niya nagagawa compared to a certain standard. Okay? And assessment provides feedback. So, it provides feedback. One of the important aspects of assessment is yung pagbibigay niya ng feedback kasi feedbacks are very important for us to know how are we doing, no? And where are we in a certain level of performance. I'm sure kayo din gusto nyong nakakarinig ng feedback. So, regardless kung positive or negative, para maging aware tayo kung nasaan na tayo, para maging aware tayo kung na-achieve ba natin or hindi yung dapat nating ma-achieve. And look into the evaluation, it shows shortfall. So, regardless din dito sa evaluation kung anong level ka na, sasabihin sa'yo kung hindi mo din nakukuha. Pero, good thing, positively, you are achieving the objective, no? So, yun yung sa evaluation natin. So, these are the differences of assessment and evaluation, and they have these similarities. Both of them requires criteria. So, sa mga to, once we are doing assessment or evaluation, we are requiring our student, we are having, no, this criteria. Then both of them use measures. So may kanya-kanya silang measurement. So that's why we're going to, part of our discussion will be on data analysis because we have this quantification of what students have learned. And both of them are evidence-driven. A while ago, I mentioned about evidences na we can only do giving feedback and giving judgment, no, once we have seen or collected evidences of students' performance. Ano-ano ba yung mga evidences na to? It might be your recitation, no? It might be the result of your test, no? And yung mga projects ninyo. So, in our classroom, yun yung mga evidences, no? Yun yung mga nagiging basis natin. Okay? So, kung ano lang kasi ang binibigay mo sa teacher, kung ano lang yung pinapakita mo sa kanya, doon ka lang niya pwedeng i-judge. Doon ka niya lang pwedeng i-evaluate. Or doon lang siya pwedeng magbigay ng feedback. Okay? So, posible, nangyayari, sa isang teacher, napaka-bibo ninyo, sa isang teacher, parang wala lang. Siyempre, magkaiba ang magiging impression ng teacher na yon. So, mas magiging positive ang impression ng teacher kung saan kayo nagpe-perform well kasi nga maganda yung evidences na binibigay nyo sa kanya. While kung hindi nyo masyadong siniseryoso, kunwari, yung performance na isang subject, then iba din yung impression nila sa inyo. Kasi nga, yun yung mga evidences na binibigay ninyo sa kanila. Do you have any question regarding assessment and evaluation? So you can type in your questions at chat box or you can turn on your microphone and ask something if ever you have questions. Okay. Are we okay here? Just give me a thumbs up if we're okay. Okay, sige. So I want you to get your ABCDs and answer the question here. Okay. So what is the main objective of testing in teaching? Okay, letter A, to assess the students' learning and the effectiveness of instruction. Letter B, to assess the effectiveness of teaching methods used. Letter C, to evaluate the instructional materials used. And D, to evaluate the performance of the teacher in that particular lesson.
All of the above.
May nanggugulo. Aray ko. So, may I see your answer? Sira ang aking. Kaya, pwedeng itaas. May sumasagot na A. Kung wala kayong or you can type in the letter sa chat box kung sakaling hindi nyo maipakita. So, nakikita ko letter A. Ayun. Yung si Joshua, ang late ng letter A. Hindi pa napaghandaan nata ni Joshua yung ABCD niya. Hindi ko makita yung sagot ni Ramil. Okay. Sige. So, karamihan sa inyo, no, ang sagot ay letter A. Okay. So, sabi ng A, to assess students' learning and the effectiveness of instruction. And you are right. Okay. Some of you might be answering B, C, or D. Actually, tama naman na isa din siyang objective ni testing. So, sa testing kasi malalaman natin kung effective yung teaching method. Sa testing, malalaman din natin kung yung evaluation sa instructional materials. Same also with the performance of the teacher. However, ang tanong natin dito, ano ang pinaka-objective? Ano yung main objective ng teaching or testing in teaching? So, that's letter A, yung best answer. Okay? So, this is yung mga susunod, ito at saka yung mga susunod na mga questions are board exam pattern questions. No? Some of them were literally or verbatimly taken from questions given in the previous years. So, para na rin tayong nagpa-practice kung paano sumagot ng mga board exam questions. So, yan. You will see very related yung mga options natin. So, what you have to do is to choose the best answer. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. Okay, Mrs. Pua is judging the worth of the project of the students in her science class based on the set criteria. What process describes what she is doing? A, it's assessment. B, evaluation. C, testing. D, measurement. Okay, I can see the answer of Clarice, Danisa.
Ulit yung choices, ma'am.
Ano?
Yung choices po.
Choices A, assessment. B, evaluation. C, testing. D, measurement. Okay.
Po, ma'am.
So may B. May nakita ko kaninang D. Parang nagbago ang sagot. Okay. Yung iba ata ginagaya lang yung sagot ng mga kaklase. Okay. Ayan, self-assessment nyo yan kung talagang nasusundan ninyo. Bakit B ang sagot ninyo? Anyone who can tell me bakit nag-decide siya na letter B ang sagot? Anyone?
The word
Christian?
judge. The word judging. Yes.
The word
The word
The word po na
Judging
judge.
po.
Okay, that's right.
Judging.
Thank you. Na-emphasize natin sa discussion ng evaluation that it is making judgment. So, in this case, very evident in term na judging the worth of the project. So, that's right. The answer for the second one is evaluation. So, give yourselves a round of applause. Halos, kayo, no? Tama ang sagot. Okay, next. So here, when a follow-up to a result of tests such as home visitation and remediation is done after a test, then the teacher is doing blank. A, assessment, B, evaluation, C, testing, D, measurement. Again, when a follow-up to a result of tests such as home visitation and remediation is done after a test, then the teacher is doing blank. A, assessment, B, evaluation, C, testing, D, measurement. Okay. E, may C, may A, ano pa? May letter D ang sagot. Okay. Yung iba, hindi ko pa nakikita. Okay. So, iba-iba yung responses natin for this question. But the correct answer is letter A. Okay. Why do you think assessment yung sagot dito? Anyone who can tell me? Okay. Sige.
Kasi po,
Sino yon? Si Christine ba? Christine? I thought Christine is
kasi po ma'am,
answering.
nagpo-provide na po siya ng result po dun sa... Yes po ma'am. Kasi po ma'am, nagpo-provide na po siya ng feedback. Result po kasi.
So yun yung tama. Yung pagbibigay ng feedback or follow-up dun sa result, no? Yun yung I think gusto sabihin ni Christine. Tsaka example, pag home visitation tayo and remediation, yun yung mga moves na ginagawa natin to help students improve, no? Yun. Tingnan natin dito kung ano talaga yung purpose ni assessment. Okay. So, that's right. The third one has something to do with assessment. And let's have the last one for this portion here. A 50-item multiple choice test is conducted in mathematics among grade 6 pupils after analyzing, grade 6 pupils. After analyzing the result of the exam, it was concluded that the pupils performed above average in the exam. How did the test treated us? Okay, A, assessment, B, evaluation, C, testing, D, measurement. Letter T. Okay, D. Okay. Bakit kaya D ang sagot ninyo? Dahil ba meron na tayong yung measurement hindi pa napipili? Okay, actually, the answer here is letter B. Okay, So, I understand that you are answering letter D, probably because of the term above average. Tama ba? But the term above average is already an interpretation of numbers. Okay? Ano na yan? Qualitative description na ng number, numerical natin. Okay? But what you have to really look into, yung second sentence natin dito, sabi niya, after analyzing the result of the exam, it was concluded. So, nag-conclude na siya. Okay, di ba sa evaluation, we're giving already the value, we're already deciding, no? We're giving the end impression. Nakuha? Pero if meron tayo dito numerical, quantity mismo, then we have measurement. No? Kung dinidescribe niya kung ano yung particular measure natin. Pero dito, based on the second sentence, it was mentioned na it's already concluding kung ano yung performance ng klase. Okay, that makes it appropriately letter B compared to letter D. But, yon yung B or D ang ano dito, very close ang sagot. Okay? That's why I understand na you are choosing letter D. Actually, to be honest, when I first saw this question, ang initial na ano ko din is, ay, measurement to kasi meron siyang average, the term average. But when I look into the reason behind answering letter B here, then yun, I realized that the catch here is on the second sentence. Okay? Yun yung last question natin for this section. So let's proceed to the next one. Meron pa tayo sa mga susunod na part. Okay? I hope you are actually enjoying yung mga questions na yan. So, kung hindi nyo na-enjoy, bahala kayo. Pero, these are practice, no? Ang other intention ko din dito kung bakit ko binibigay ang mga toys for you to be familiar with the possible questions that you might see sa board exam ninyo. At saka sa mga major examinations ninyo sa akin, makakakita din kayo ng mga ganyan, halos situational sila. Okay. So, pinapractice ko na kayo. Okay. Then we have the concepts of assessment. Of as learning. So, tatlong prepositions na iba-iba. Ang meaning niya in terms of assessment. So, assessment for learning, assessment of learning, assessment as learning. So, let's proceed to the first one. When we say assessment for learning, we are referring to, ayan, i-relate na nyo, for is for formative. No? Okay. Assessment for learning is more commonly known as formative and diagnostic assessment. Pag sinabing formative assessment, this is an assessment done during instruction. So ito yung tulad kanina, nagbigay ako ng mga questions na ABCD for me to know if you already understood yung discussion natin about the definitions of testing, measurement, assessment, and evaluation. So, formative type of assessment yung ginawa kanina. So, parang chine-check mo kung ano na yung understanding ng mga estudyante. And again, it is done during instruction. Okay? Para alam mo kung okay na, nasusundan na, bago ka mag-move sa next lesson. Then, pagdating naman sa diagnostic, this is done at the beginning. Ginagawa ito before you start your instruction. Usually, na-experience natin to kapag nagpi-pretest tayo. Have you done pre-testing before? Diba pag nag-pretest tayo, chine-check dyan kung ano na yung alam mo dun sa subject. Minsan sabi natin, bakit tayo nagte-test? Hindi pa tayo nagklase. Diba? Bakit ako tinanong ni ma'am about my idea about assessment? Hindi pa siya nag-discuss about assessment. Tama ba? So, the reason there is for me to know what is your prior knowledge about the subject? What is your prior knowledge about the lesson? So, ganun yung mga purposes ng ating mga pretest para i-diagnose tayo kung ano na yung alam natin. Okay? Let's say, for example, first time mong ma-meet yung mga estudyante mo and you do not know kung ano yung background of learning nila. Okay? So, you need to know first kung saan yung starting point mo by making diagnostic assessment. Okay? Pwede mong tignan yung background nila, yung grades nila, and the result of the pretest if you have done a pretest. Usually, titignan mo dito kung saan pa sila mahina or saan na yung hanggang saan na yung knowledge nila about a certain topic so that you will know where you will start in your lesson. Okay? So let's say for example, you have the topics na mabahagi ng pananalita. Tapos, may mga subjects kayo na kailangan alam muna nila yung mga bahagi ng pananalita before you can proceed to the next lesson, no? Mga structures, for example, ng paggawa ng mga sentences, mga paragraph. So, dapat familiar muna sila yung sa mga parts of speech. Tama ba? So, yun, dapat may prior knowledge sila regarding this. So, before you proceed to the next lesson. And in diagnostic, parang I always associate it sa ginagawa ng mga doctors, no? Before the doctors will give you your diagnosis, before the doctor will give you the whatever your illness or sickness is, titingnan niya muna yung laboratory examinations ninyo. Diba? So, bago muna siya magbigay ng, sasabihin niya kung anong sakit mo, kailangan niya munang ma-verify lahat ng possible test. Okay? Minsan, nag-negative ka sa isa, may papatest siya ulit na iba kasi baka negative sa isa, positive dun sa isang case. So, bago siya magbigay ng diagnosis niya. Nag-diagnostic assessment muna siya. So, same also in education, ganon. We do that at the beginning. Okay. So, we use this task or activity for the purpose of determining the progress of our students during a unit or a block of instruction. So, again, this is done during a unit or during a certain type of instruction. And with this, teachers are afforded the chance to adjust their class instruction based on the needs of the students. So, ang nagiging importance niya naman sa part ni teacher, nagkakaroon siya ng opportunity na i-adjust kung ano yung lesson niya based on the needs of the students. Okay? So, then students are provided valuable feedback on their own learning. Okay. So if you are already a teacher, ito na yung pwede mong maitanong sa sarili mo. You think about when you use the assessment for learning in your classroom. So, is the kind of feedback that you provide to students furthering their learning? Ayan. Once na teacher kayo, you ask this question to yourselves. Yung bang binibigay kong feedback sa mga estudyante ko ay nakakatulong para mas matuto sila? Okay? So, that's for assessment for learning. Okay. So, and I would like to highlight this, which I got from the book, Rethinking Classroom Assessment with Purpose in Mind, on page 30. So, the teachers are also use assessment for learning to enhance motivation and commitment. So, ayun, assessment for learning is done to enhance students' motivation and commitment to learning. And it is said that when teachers commit to learning as the focus of assessment, they change the classroom culture to one of success. So, this is how important assessment is among our students. Once you have once you have enhanced their motivation and commitment, you are also leading them towards their success. No? And you can do that through assessment. I'm not sure if you have experienced before na nawawalan kayo ng gana sa isang subject kasi ayaw nyo yung mode of assessment ng teacher ninyo. I'm not sure if you experienced that, pero sometimes it affects us. No? Ay, hanggang ngayon ako manigaran, makanya ma'am niya exam niya, ma'am. Diba? O kaya, hanggang manigaral ko, potang mamiyang exam teacher, ala naman kitang penigaralan ni. Okay? So it affects the motivation and commitment of students in learning. So again, as future teachers, I would like to emphasize this concept to you. Okay? You have to make use of assessment properly among your students. Okay? Are we still okay? Can I hear from you? Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mukha
Yes po,
kasi
ma'am.
nangantok pa yung
Yes po, ma'am.
faces ninyo. Wala akong konti lang yung smiles na nakikita ko. Napaka-seryoso. Okay. Sige. Ayan. Let's proceed to the next one. Assessment as learning. Personally, this is one of my favorite part of assessment. Yung making use of assessment to evaluate your own, no? To assess your own learning. Okay. So we use this task or an activity for us to allow your students the opportunity to use assessment to further their own learning. Look at the highlighted words. Opportunity to use assessment to further their own learning, no? To enhance their own learning. So we are making use of assessment, which is a way for students to learn on their own. Okay? Or not necessarily learn on their own, but to improve themselves. No? It is actually more on self and peer assessment when you allow your students to reflect and identify their areas of strengths and needs. So kapag ikaw mismo ina-analyze mo yung sarili mo, ano na ba yung alam ko? Bakit ko to kailangan malaman? Pag ganun yung mga tanong natin, we are doing assessment as learning. So pag sinabing assessment as learning, it's like make yung assessment bilang pagkatuto, no? Yung assessment ginagawa nating paraan para matuto tayo. Okay? I'm not sure if you experienced this before na you realize na whenever you undergo an assessment, mas natututo ka. Tama ba? Kapag nag-prepare ka sa exam, mas natututo ka, di ba? So that assessment is actually assessment as learning kasi chine-check mo yung sarili mo. Ano na ba yung alam ko sa subject na to? Yun yung nangyayari kapag nagre-review tayo. Okay? Compare mo sa isang subject na hindi naman nagpa-test. Di ba? Hindi ka naman nag-exert ng effort para mag-review. Kasi hindi naman yon itatanong. Pero once you have undergone assessment, you will prepare. And you will realize on yourself na, ay, may hindi pa pala ako alam. Kahit ito nabanggit ni ma'am, parang na-miss ko to during our discussion. There are things like that you will realize. And without you knowing, you are having that assessment as learning. And this task offers students the chance to set their own personal goals and advocate for their own learning. So, ayan. A chance to set your own personal goals. What will be your personal goals in learning, and your advocacy towards your own learning. Okay. So, assessment as learning is also into the concept of metacognition kasi you are thinking what you already know. No? Thinking about thinking. No? You monitor, here are the ways on how you monitor metacognition. So you ask the question, what is the purpose of learning these concepts and skills? Bakit kailangan ko tong matutuhan? Okay? So you ask that question to yourself. Then, another question, what do I know about this topic? Ano na ba yung alam ko? Parang ito yung mga tanong ko sa inyo, no? First assignment ninyo, no? Indirectly, ganyan yung tanong. Next, ito, ginagawa ninyo lagi. What strategies do I know that will help me learn this? Isn't it whenever we study something, may sarili tayong strategy? Kapag kayo, sa mga Filipino majors, alam ko maraming enumeration dyan. Di ba? So, whenever we had that type of examination, we find strategies to learn and to remember yung mga concepts. Gumagawa pa nga tayo ng acronym eh. 'Di ba? Kung paano, ano yung mga first letter ng mga words doon sa isang enumeration portion ni teacher. Yan. So, a sample yan, we make strategies, we make cues. So, kami sa mathematics, we have our own solutions sa problems. Given a different types of solutions leading towards a certain problem, then pipili kami kung ano yung strategy na mas applicable sa amin. Okay? May mga madali, mayroong komplikado. Yan. Next, am I understanding these concepts? So, you ask yourself, natututuhan ko ba yung ganitong konsepto? Naiintindihan ko ba? What are the criteria for improving my work? So when you ask that some question to yourself, then you are leading towards furthering your learning. So pag sinabing mo, tinanong mo, ano ba yung dapat kong, ano dapat yung mga criteria para ma-improve ko yung work ko? So kailangan ko bang tignan ang aking grammar? Kailangan ko bang tignan yung capitalization? Yung communication skills ko? Kailangan ko bang tignan kung paano ako mag-organize ng mga ideas ko into writing? Madalas yan sa Filipino, di ba? Before you write, you have to organize first your ideas. No? Isang way para magawa nyo yun, you enumerate yung mga nasulat nyo muna, naisip nyo muna. Then, before you write your paragraph and sentences. Okay? Yung iba kasi, pag binasa mo yung ideas nila, parang halo-halo eh. No? Halo-halong hindi masarap kainin. No? Kasi hindi nagbe-blend, no? Yung mga sinasabi. Okay? So, ganun din whenever we want to improve our writing skills. For example, yung work ninyo sa writing. Karamihan sa Filipino, di ba? Filipino majors, you write something. So one way that you can improve your work is for you to organize, have your strategies on how you can organize your work. No? Even us in mathematics, before we write our proof, we write down possible reasons, no, in proving something. So ganun din kayo, may kanya-kanya tayong strategies for us to improve our work. Then, have I accomplished the goals that I set for myself? So you ask that question, am I accomplishing the goals that I set for myself? Okay, and as future teacher, you have this reflection. Think about when you use assessment as learning in your classroom. Do you encourage students to take risks associated with making their thinking visible? So, ito yung pagbibigay mo ng opportunity sa mga estudyante para ma-express nila kung anong naisip nila. So, whenever you give that opportunity to your students, you are actually helping them to have assessment as learning. Okay? So, that's for assessment as learning. Then, the last one for this is assessment of learning. When we say assessment of learning, it has something to do with the summative assessment. It is often known as a summative assessment. Summative assessment is done usually at the end of the unit. at the end of the chapter, or at the end of the semester. Basta pagkatapos ng isang program. Summative kasi parang sinasum up mo lahat ng achievement niya. Mga achievement tests, yan, mga summative yan. Major examination, summative ang mga yan. Kasi tinitignan ng summative assessment kung ano na yung accomplishment mo sa buong chapter, sa buong semester, for example, or a period. You use tasks or an activity to measure, record, and report on a student's level of achievement in regards to specific expectation. So, yun yung sinasabi ko a while ago. Okay, so the assessment of learning is designed to provide evidence of achievement to parents, other educators, the students themselves, and sometimes to outside groups like employers and other educational institutions. So, ang assessment of learning, medyo malawak siya. It's not only limited din sa classroom instruction natin. Pwedeng assessment of learning kapag tinitignan na yung total performance ninyo as in your 4 years, for example. Diba, titignan yung performance ninyo ng employer ninyo kapag i-hand ninyo sa kanya ang inyong TOR or your transcript of records. So, bakit tinitignan ng transcript of records? Para makita nila kung ano yung overall performance ninyo when you were still a student. Kasi they might relate that kung anong klaseng teacher ka sa mga estudyante mo. Kasi based on your performance. Okay? And sometimes transcript of records are not enough. You all have to provide other documents like the seminars that you have attended, the organizations na sinalihan nyo. So as early as now, you have to collect all your certificates, have them filed. So because once you apply for BSEd, for example, you have to submit all of those. Kasi dyan kayo mararank. No? So I encourage everyone, nabanggit ko din to sa ibang section, na you attend webinars, no? You might not know, they will ask you, no, to, or they will give points to the seminars that you have attended. Okay? So, ayan, assessment of learning, evidences ng inyong performance or your achievement. Any questions so far? Wala? So here's a reflection question. Once you are a teacher, or pwedeng ngayong estudyante kayo, think about an example of assessment of learning in your own teaching or made by your teacher. How did your teacher use it as assessment of learning? So, siguro probably you can think about your midterm exam or your final exam. Paano iyon nagamit ni teacher para i-assess yung learning ninyo, assessment of learning. Kasi summative yan. And basically, as teachers, ginagamit namin yon para bigyan kayo ng final rating. Diba? Ang laking percentage ng major examinations natin. So, summative kasi yan. Okay, so at this point, I will ask you again to answer these questions for me to know if you really understood the 3 assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment of learning. Assessment as learning. Again, assessment for learning has something to do with formative and diagnostic. Assessment as learning has something to do with furthering your own learning. And assessment of learning has something to do with summative assessment. Okay, the first question. You are assessing for learning. So which of the following you will likely do? So A, giving grades to students. B, reporting to parents the performance of their child. Letter C, recommending new policies in grading students. And D, assessing the strengths and the weaknesses of students. So, alin kaya sa mga yan ang gagawin ninyo if you are assessing for learning? Let's see. May mga sumasagot na. Can see their answers. Okay. Okay. How about yung mga naka-off ang camera? Pwede naman nilang i-type in sa inyong chat, sa chat box ang sagot. So, some of you might not be able to open their cameras for some reasons. One of the possible reasons is the stability of their connection. Okay. Some answered D, some answered C, some answered inverted D. You will see, no? Makabaliktad. Pero ayan, nakukuha ko naman ang sagot ninyo letter D. Ayan. So, let's see. The answer here is letter D, assessing the strengths and weaknesses of the students. So, you're right, no? Karamihan sa inyo, letter D. Yung A, B, C, D kasi, usually ginagawa yan after na. No? Magbibigay ka ng grade. Siyempre, meron ka ng summative of learning yan. Reporting yung performance ng anak ninyo sa parents, usually done at the end, no? Kapag may nagbibigay na nagka-cards out, for example. So, madalas, mas ginagawa yung B sa assessment of kasi you're already judging students' performance. Then, recommending new policies. So, you cannot recommend something kung wala ka pang evidences na nako-collect. Okay? While yung letter D is really learning into the strengths and weaknesses of the students. Ito ano yan? Diagnostic. No? Kaya siya tama na assessment or mas suitable yung letter D for this particular setup. Okay, next. Miss Saplan is planning to do an assessment of learning. Which of these should she include in her plan considering her purpose for assessment? Okay? Gagawin ni Miss Saplan ay planning to do an assessment of learning. So, which of these she include in her plan considering her purpose of assessment? Letter A, how to give immediate feedback to students. B, how to determine the area of interest of learners. Letter C, how to certify students' achievement. And letter D, to design one's instruction. Okay, let me see your answer. Okay na kanina, Carlo. Baliktad mo. Nag-inverted siya. Okay. Sige. Okay lang. Sige. Kahit may parang dyslexia ako, no? Nabaliktad yung letters na nakikita ko. Pero okay lang. For as long as I can see your answer. Okay. Sige. Yan. Karamihan sa inyo ang sagot letter C. So, okay. Sige. Merong B ang sagot. Sige. Let's check. The answer here is letter C. Okay. May mga sumagot sa inyo letter B. Pag ginawa natin yung letter B, yung you are determining the area of interest of learners, ang ginagawa mo nun ay assessment for learning. Kasi chine-check mo muna kung saan yung interest nila. Okay? Parang tinitingnan mo muna kung paano mo aayusin yung instruction mo based on their interest. Assessment for learning yon. While yung letter C, you are already certifying the student's achievement. Binibigay mo na, no? Sine-certify mo na ito yung achievement ng estudyante. Summative yon. That's why, if you are planning for assessment of learning, you are also considering kung paano mo isa-certify, paano mo ibibigay ang yung result ng student's achievement. Okay? So, how about A and D? A and D are also assessment for learning. No? Yung mga options na yan. Okay, I hope you got that. Here. Teacher Jeffaniel's lesson for the day is about central tendencies of group data. The students were tasked to construct their own data and results and present them in class. The class held was stimulating and the students realized their own potential in mathematics. What form of assessment did they apply? A. Assessment for learning. B. Assessment as learning. C. Assessment of learning. D. Assessment in learning. Okay. Okay. Yung karamihan ng sagot ay B. Sige nga, can someone tell me bakit B? Bakit B ang sagot? Pare-pareho nakikita ko sa screen.
Ma'am, kasi po yung sa assessment po, binibigyan mo po ng opportunity yung student mo na i-assess yung isang gawain. Own learning po yung ginagamit nila doon.
Okay. Sige. Thank you. Actually, yung keyword natin dito yung their own potential in mathematics. Diba? Nakita niyo yung keyword? So, yung ginawa ni teacher may give an opportunity or sabi niya, the students realize their own potential in mathematics. So because of what they did, they realized something. So that the third sentence here will tell us what happened during assessment. Okay? So mas appropriate yung letter B as the type of assessment which happened on that particular situation. So, ayan. So, yay, halos tama, no? Karamihan sa inyo, you got the correct answer for all of these questions given to you. So, answer is B. Okay? So, ayan, yun yung mga first, three questions regarding that. Okay. Let's have the next one. This will be the last part of our discussion for today. It's already 8:38 and hanggang 8:50 tayo. I still have 10 minutes. Okay? So, who cares about assessment? Sino bang may pakialam sa assessment natin? Okay? So, are you concerned with your assessment? So, do you care about your assessment? I think you do. Kasi even during lockdown, students are also asking their teachers, Ma'am, pumasa po ba kami? Ma'am, ano po yung grade namin? Imagine, during the lockdown, in March and April, yun yung mga kinukulit ng mga estudyante sa kanilang teachers, no? So, you are very lucky, especially dun sa mga namimiligro, no? Na pumasa sila during that period kasi we give consideration because of the situation. Okay, so but yun, we care about our assessment. So, but I hope we care about our assessment not only because we want to know the numerical grades, not only because we are concerned if we are still qualified for the Dean's Lister or the presidential list. I hope hindi yun yung primary reason, but part siya kasi motivation natin na may mga awards, for example, no? Pero I hope your primary concern, particularly as learners, your reason why you want to know your assessment because you want to know how you are doing. Kumusta ako? Ano na yung nagagawa ko? How am I performing? No? You need to know how you are doing. And you need to know how you are doing compared with others. Sometimes we compare ourselves with the performance of the others, not because we want to be competitive, we want to compete with others, but we want to know our level of performance. Nasaan na tayo compared to others. Okay, sana ganun siya nakikita, hindi yung nakikipag-compete tayo with others kasi ang mas magandang gawin mo as a learner is to compete with yourself. So, higitan mo kung ano yung nagagawa mo na, no? Or kung ano na yung nagawa mo. So I think that's the best competition that you can do, is to compete with yourself. So kapag nagko-compete ka with what you can do and how you are doing, and you want to improve better, then you are continuously improving yourself. Okay? Pero kapag inompare mo yung sarili mo sa iba, sometimes it's positive, nakaka-motivate, but sometimes it's also frustrating and depressing. Lalo na kung hindi mo na-attain yung na-attain ng iba. Okay? So, but again, the best thing that you can do is to compete with yourself and to know how you are doing para ma-improve mo kung may naglalag ka man sa isang area. Okay? So, that's my motivation. I don't want to compare myself with the performance of the others kasi that's very frustrating. So, but what I do is to, keep on improving yourself. So, you are here, this is your achievement as of the moment, then you can do better. So, ganon. Nandito ka, then there's still a way to level up. No? So, kailangan mo lang malaman kung ano pa yung dapat mong gawin. Ano yung direction mo. Okay, so, yan. Learners care about their assessment. And aside from the learners, the teachers also care about your assessment. Okay, why do we want to know about your assessment? The teachers would like to know the result of their teaching. The result of your assessment is a manifestation of the performance of the teacher. Diba? Yung bang ginawa kong paraan ng pagtuturo ay effective? Yung bang paraan ng ginawa kong pagtuturo ay nakatulong para mas maintindihan ng mga estudyante? Okay? So, what we do in college is not to pet our students, no? But to lead them towards learning. Okay? Sa college, wala na yung yung mga nangyayari sa high school, yung may mga babies ka, ganon. Di ba? Pero dito, dapat lahat pare-pareho yung tingin mo sa kanila. Your main goal is for your students to learn what your topic is. Okay? Professional level tayo sa college and in the higher education. Pero yung sa basic education, medyo may pagka-formative yan. Kasi lahat ng aspect ng estudyante, tinitignan natin, kino-consider natin. So, next, other people in the school, no, are concerned with your assessment. Let's say, for example, the college dean, the College of Education is particularly concerned with your performance para malaman niya if we are producing quality educators. No? Kaya ang College of Education is very eager to give several activities to monitor their teachers para ma-assure nila that we are really doing our tasks. We are providing quality education to our students para maging professional teachers in the future, no? Para pumasa kayo sa board exam. So, ayan, maraming concern, no? Pati sa admission, concern sila sa estudyante kung saan nila ilalagay. Kaya nandyan yung placement dyan. Pag sinabing placement, pinag-uusapan saan mas appropriate pumasok yung bata. Okay? So, maraming may concern regarding your assessment. Next, funders. Who are your funders? Your parents. Sino ang mga scholar ni nanay? Na, scholar ni tatay o kaya scholar ni kuya at ate. Okay, scholar ang sarili. Mas maganda kung scholar ng certain organization para may extra allowance. Okay? But you are all scholars by the Commission on Higher Education. You are actually enjoying the free education in the college. You are very, very lucky. No? Kaya hindi na namin kino-consider sometimes yung mga dahilan ng ibang estudyante. No? Kasi it's already free tuition tapos ang dami pa nilang reklamo. Okay? So, anyway, yun, the reason why the funders are concerned about your assessment is for them to know that their money is not wasted. Diba? So, imagine nag-enroll ka, binayaran ng gobyerno ang inyong tuition. Tapos hindi mo man tatapusin. 'Di ba? So, pero ginastusan ka ng gobyerno. Sayang. Sayang, sana binigay na lang doon sa iba na gusto ang matuto. Okay? So, the funders will also want to compare yung achievement niyo across other programs. So, if your program or your achievement is comparable with the other programs. Okay? So may mga then the funders will also know the program effectiveness. Okay, so yan. I hope you are maximizing the opportunity that is given to you by those who fund for your education. Okay. Then the community, your family, your workplace, your future workplace will be concerned with the performance of your performance and the performance of the school in general. Pag-employment, kino-consider nila kung saan ka graduate. No? So ngayon, dati, kapag graduate ka ng DABSU, medyo maganda na yung feedback eh. Pero unlike ngayon, mas maganda. No? Kasi especially the College of Education, we are recognized as a center of development ng CHED. Tapos ang BSEd nasa level 4 accreditation. Napakakonti lang sa buong bansa ang nasa level 4 na accreditation. Ibig sabihin, as you go higher sa accreditation, you are providing quality education. Okay? So, pag tinignan kayo kung saan kayo graduate, i-consider yung school na pinanggalingan ninyo. Okay? Kasi nga, meron ng mga evaluation sa school regarding the quality of instruction. Okay? You are all actually lucky and you have to be thankful. You don't need to enroll to expensive schools, no? To land a good job. No? Pagdating naman sa pare-parehong sweldo dyan eh. Diba? So, kailangan mo lang talagang ayusin yung trabaho mo at saka yung performance mo as of now as student. Okay. So, I hope you understood our discussion. We will be discussing this next meeting, scope of assessment. Okay. Do you have any question? Wala? Okay. Ganito ha, I'll be trying this mode this week. We will not meet on Wednesday. Diba, as I promise, once a week tayo. Kaya I'm maximizing the opportunity to discuss. So what I'm going to do, I will record the presentation, my next presentation, starting dito. Titignan natin kung applicable sa inyo to ha. Gagawin ko muna, i-record ko yung ganitong klase ng discussion. Tapos yung mga question and answer, like yung board exam question, next Monday natin gagawin. Pero, I would like to make sure na napanood nyo yung videos na isasend ko sa inyo bago mag-Monday. Okay? That will replace our meeting. Actually, concept yun ng flipped classroom. No? Na baligtad. Panonoorin muna ng estudyante sa kanila yung lesson bago pumasok. So, anyway, tignan natin kung applicable. We will try it this week and next week. Kung hindi yon applicable, hindi maganda yung naging input ninyo, then we will go back to the traditional way. Okay? So, again, we have no meeting on Wednesday, but you have to watch the video, okay, prior our lesson. So, I will not be discussing something on Monday, but bibigay ko yung mga tanong for me to know na pinanood ninyo yung video. Okay? So, any question? Are we okay?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So, parang yung
Yes,
section
po,
ninyo ngayon,
Yes,
week na to
ma'am.
ang pinakatahimik.
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. So, but I would like to thank your cooperation and participation with the question and answer, particularly the board exam question. At least through the show me board or show me paper ninyo, hindi siya board, nakikita ko yung responses ninyo. Diba? So, ayan. Okay, I think that will be all. So we can prepare for our next class. I have also a next class. Mag-CR break lang at saka iinom. Then, larga ulit. So, for now, that will be all. I'll see you next week. I'll see you online virtually. And have a safe week and a blessed day. Good day, everyone. You can now leave the Google Classroom.
Good day, ma'am.
The video, by the way,
Good day po.
Good day po.
Good day, ma'am.
the video will be available to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good day po.
Send sa inyo. Good day. Bye-bye.
Good day, ma'am.
Good day.
Thank
you po.
Thank you. Sige. Amis mo talaga yung pagkera niya, na?